Hello, everyone. It's a wonderful moment to be here once again as we continue to bring your way the in depth analysis of events and the intrigues surrounding the circumstances, especially bordering on the tribunal, the Presidential Election Tribunal, as it is hot here, and the offenses in respect to nominations as of course rightly stipulated by the Constitution. I will want to start by citing or quoting, of course, a more pronounced statement coming from Justice Junior Midha of Dahi High Court. On his farewell speech, of course, he said, I quote, "In the court of justice, both the parties know the truth. It is the judge who is on trial." Yes, this is more true as we, of course, we dive into the very sensitive and technical issues that is established in the Constitution according to the Electoral Act of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, of course, 2022, is clearly said a person who signs a nomination paper or result form as a candidate in more than one constituency at the same election commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a maximum term of imprisonment for 2 years. Wow, this is very fantastic. This is very wonderful. That simply means on conviction, Shettima will be cooling his head, of course, for 2 years, notwithstanding the fine, financial fine that may be, of course, imposed on him for committing such a very scandalous and deadly act, which negates and contradicts the position of the Constitution, and that will mean, of course, that TINUBU, who assumes the position of the president-elect, might be disqualified because this is a joint ticket, and whatever, of course, happens to the either of them will affect both of them as the circumstances stands. According to this Electoral Act, Section 115, subsection D, says signs a nomination paper or result form in a candidate in more than one constituency at the same time is a grave offense and is punishable by law, by financial fines, and of course, back in 2 years imprisonment. Let's see what is the reaction or response, of course, the position of one of the INEC electoral, of course, commissioners. He said that named Mike Guinness said, who is the resident electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State, stated this, that of course it is an offense under the Electoral Act 2022 for politicians uh, to obtain multiple nomination form. It is an offense, of course, under the electoral law or Electoral Act 2022 for politicians to obtain multiple nomination form. According to Section 115D of the Act, a person who signs a nomination paper or result form as a candidate in more than one constituency at the same election commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a maximum term of imprisonment for 2 years. Akwa Ibom Rec Mike Egene speaks, of course, during an interview on Channels Television, Sunrise Daily, of course, where he reiterated and expatiated on the grave consequences, of course, that might greet anyone who is found culpable. Now that, of course, by tomorrow the Supreme Court will interpret the position of this electoral act as it borders on, of course, Shettima, who is a running mate to the president-elect. And this could, of course, if convicted by the law, would mean an end of the dreams and expectations, of course, of both Doe and the APC party. And the law cannot be bent at this very important time. Yes, of course, both of them know the truth in the cause of justice, but it is only the judge that is on trial. But the Constitution is very clear and explicit in this position. It is not ambiguous and should not be a subject of controversy. But what matters is, of course, that the judge who presides over this case is on trial of the Constitution position. This is no longer news. That, of course, TINUBU and his running mate, Shettima, risk being disqualified, and possibly Shettima might end up in 2 years under detention for gross violation of the Electoral Act. Of course, trying to take undue advantage over uh, the constituency he may want to, of course, exploit, not knowing that he is just, of course, people walk their way to prison when they say that they bought two forms. Section 115D prohibits that. In fact, subsection 3 of 115 says that even that attempt itself will be treated as the offense. Even by attempting to do so could be treated as the main offense. Wow, which this is very fantastic and very precarious, of course, for the president-elect, who possibly may be cruising or dreaming, of course, of being swelled in at this 11th hour. Something might happen which might change the entire political sphere of Nigeria and chart a new way forward. Should this, of course, be established and convicted, it will chart a way forward and send a very serious signal to the politicians who think, of course, they can exploit the system and to their own advantage. It will mean, of course, an end of this era where politicians, of course, do manipulate their ways, regardless of what the position of the law is, and they get away with that. When they are caught up in this net, there will be an end of such recklessness and, of course, uh, intimidations and manipulations and undue, of course, taking undue advantage of the entire system. This will set as precedence, of course, to all are sundry that this is a new dawn. It is no longer a moment for the greedy and selfish politicians who has no or less regard for the law and the rule of law. The judge who presides over this, the judge of the Supreme Court, is very much on trial. And the position of the Constitution or the Electoral Act as amended 2022 is very clear, and that cannot be disputed under any disguise or any, of course, attempt to subvert the position of the Electoral Act. will, of course, amount to a constitutional breach, and it endangers, of course, the democratic process. Let's see what will become, of course, Shetima and the president elect as they go to justice, as they go to equity. They is perceived that they must go with clean hands. But for that to happen, I hope there won't be any interruption or meddling with the procession of the constitution of the procession of the law, or the court procession as it comes. Tomorrow is the deadline. It that make or mar the opportunities of APC to reclaim, of course, the mandate of and of course gives a brighter future for the Labour Party and his candidate Peter Obi in the most controversial election tribunal season. Well, let's watch what becomes of this. But the constitution is clear, and you can even predict the outcome of this litigation. And whatever might be the case, let's know what is your position. What is your reaction and response to this? Please don't forget to hit the subscription button, like this video, and share the video as people get to know the position of the Constitution of their own nation. It is paramount and imperative that, of course, that the judge, whosoever he might be or she might be, must understood that the truth cannot be covered up. The truth is no respecter of persons or status or dignitaries. The truth must be allowed to scale through. But whatever happens, of course, we will keep in touch and abreast with whatever is happening here in Cowwave TV. I am the host, Uncle Chigos Ndibo, saying bye for now.